Since the beginning of time, man has always been fascinated by flight. From the Wright brothers' first flight to the most contemporary of aircraft, there's always been a certain curiosity, passion, and obsession for the ability to fly. The freedom, the exhilaration, the indescribable thrill, only to be captured hundreds of feet above the earth. Today, the same passion for aviation remains. There are few places in the world that are specially designed around the love of aviation. Mountain Air Country Club is just that. A private mountaintop club community nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, with the highest runway east of the Mississippi at its very heart. From this love of aviation came an exciting idea. Mountain Air commissioned the construction of one of the world's most accurate replicas of the Wright brothers' 1903 Flyer. An exact quarter-scale model of this most famous of aircraft to help celebrate the centennial of the Wright brothers' first flight. Today, the plane hangs proudly for all to observe and enjoy, and like its predecessor, has quite a history to share. In 1999, Mountain Air Country Club commissioned a renowned Savannah craftsman to embark on this project. Robert Cooper from Savannah, Georgia. A retired engineer, a musician, an antique restorer, and always a model builder as a passion, not a profession. The first step, nearly 8 months of research. Reading, studying, learning everything he could about the original plans.
I have a whole book of documentation, pictures of the extant airplanes, and the one at the Smithsonian and the one at the Dayton, Ohio Air Force Museum.
The Smithsonian documentation, original blueprints, and over 50 detailed drawings in various sizes and conditions, all needed to be combined to generate one new set of plans with a common scale, 1/4 size.
I had to have drawings where I had all of the components at quarter scale, and that's what we eventually got. It was a bit expensive to do that, but I wound up with a lot of paper.
Once a plan was generated, it was time to research and purchase materials. The original plane was made of ash and spruce, but Cooper felt that the ash was too coarse for his model. He maintained the same look by combining spruce with poplar and a small amount of maple. Each piece was personally hand-picked for the correct look and feel. It needed to be convincing.
Of all of the modeling work on this airplane, the fabric was by far the most difficult.
In the 1903 version, the entire plane was held together by its fabric. A very tight-knit, high-quality cotton.
And they use mostly sailboat technology. And for making this piece, for example, they sewed a fabric envelope, and then the wood pieces were stuffed into pockets, and the ribs also into pockets, and the spars stuffed into a pocket. There wasn't any glue done on this, and since I couldn't find anything that was comparable scale, we used a model airplane fabric here. This is a Dacron, and the covering is done on the bias, which means that the threads run at 45-degree angles to the surfaces. Having the fabric on the bias also makes it easy to get the fabric tight, because all you have to do is to pull it. You pull it in one direction and it tightens in both directions.
Cooper handmade over 50 special tools he needed to complete some of the more intricate work. This enabled him to be sure every part was accurate,
Each wing rib has, I think, 13 pieces of wood plus some fasteners and some paper tape. Each block is, although you can barely see it, is wrapped in tape. We tried to put all of the things on the model that were on the real airplane. I tried to put a screw everywhere the Wright brothers put one, and some things we were able to buy, like the roller chain. This is modified from factory-made chain, and the same thing with the power drive. All of these are mechanically correct. The propellers will move on the chain. The wings actually warp, and the rudder moves at the same time, and that's the way they controlled the airplane. This is one of the scientific instruments that the Wright brothers use. This is an anemometer here, and that measures wind speed, and below it is a stopwatch. Over here is a revolution counter. They took that off of one of the bicycles, and so they knew what the wind speed was, how long they were in the air, and also how many revolutions the engine had made during a flight. And this little business here is a release mechanism for the launching of the aircraft. And when you threw this lever, it set all of these instruments in operation. It released the airplane, started the stopwatch and the anemometer, and the revolution counter.
A project of this magnitude can be overwhelming, but Cooper's approach was simple. Take on one small project at a time. Take your time, do it right, and take pride in its completion before moving on to the next. As he best describes the process, building a model is a right brain activity, and the right brain has no sense of time. In total, it took Robert Cooper 2.5 years to build this glorious plane.
I've been interested in airplanes all my life, but I never realized what an enormous contribution the Wright brothers made. I enjoyed doing the research and reading about the Wright brothers, and attained a very high regard for those two gentlemen.
With his dedication and Mountaineer's commitment to this cause, the Wright brothers' 1903 Flyer will continue to fly high for years to come. The history can be shared, the stories will be told, and our common love for aviation can be celebrated by all.